Hey friends, it's Robin. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing some June 2022 releases. I have a whole list of June releases that I am really excited about. As always, this is not an extensive list. This is just the books that I'm personally excited about. If you haven't seen the previous months, I will link the playlist down in the description box. I have one of these for every single month of the year. I love keeping up with new releases, so I am always looking at new releases with the caveat of I am terrible about knowing about indie pubbed releases. I tend to find out about them once they're released rather than beforehand. Plus their release announcements are pretty short notice, so I'm really bad about those. I do have a couple of them, but not many. I have 11 books that I'm going to talk about today. We are going to start right away with June 6th and 7th. On the 6th, we have My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey. This is an indie self-pubbed book for Tessa Bailey, and this one is kind of a mix between like a cozy mystery and a romance as far as I can tell. It is described as a spicy murder mystery. I don't know much more about it other than this book has gone through the most cover controversy that I've ever seen before. From what I've gathered by the synopsis, I've only kind of glimpsed at it because I don't want to know a ton going in, but I believe our heroine goes on vacation and she discovers a body in her rental unit and she somehow becomes involved with a bounty hunter. That's all I know. I've seen really good reviews about this. I will say my one hang up about this is the whole cover controversy. When the first cover was released, I thought it was hideous. And then there was the whole thing about that artist calling out Chloe Leese for copying her cover, which they looked nothing the same. But people have called out this cover because these characters on the cover look like POC, and it's about two white characters. And I can't figure out why they won't recolor the cover. So I'm a little hesitant about this one just because of the controversy. People are rightfully annoyed by this choice, but I'm still interested in the story. I'm a little hesitant about this one. On to the 7th, we have The Perfect Crimes of Marion Hayes by Kat Sebastian. I have already started reading this one, but I have not finished it yet. I need to get back to it, but this is the second book in the Queer Principles of Kit Webb series. This is very much so a series, not like companion novels. You might be able to get away with just reading this one, but they are pretty well intertwined. So this one actually picks up like 2/3 of the way through Kit Webb. The first little section of this, it does overlap. There's a heist that is happening in the Queer Principles of Kit Webb, and this kind of overlaps, and we're seeing what is happening outside of the heist, like in the background. And we are following the wife of the Duke, and she is involved in the heist and things go wrong, and she ends up fleeing with Kit Webb's partner, and the two of them are going to her family's estate and they are kind of fleeing across the countryside. Definitely recommend checking out Kat Sebastian's books if you like historical. After that, we have Wicked Beauty by Katie Robert, and this is the third book in her Neon Gods. Is that what it's called? It is called the Dark Olympus series, and I have a bit of a roller coaster history with this series. I really liked Neon Gods. I think I gave that one 4 stars. I hated Electric Idol. I very kindly gave that one a 2-star. This one is a throuple. It is Helen of Troy, Achilles, and Patroclus, and that's all I really know about it. I don't want to read the synopsis for this one. Katie Roberts' books don't have a ton of plot. I am hesitantly interested in this one, but I do have an arc of it, so I will be reading it. After that is Stuck With You by Ellie Hazelwood, and this is releasing on ebook on this day. It is already out on audio, but this is the second book in the STEMinist novella trilogy by Ellie Hazelwood. This one is a forced proximity second chance romance. Our two main characters are stuck on an elevator together, and you know that they have a history and something bad happened, and you're kind of learning what happened to them as they kind of reconcile. It's really cute and fun. I gave this one 5 stars. So if you like Ellie Hazelwood, but you haven't checked this out on audio, it does come out on ebook very soon. And then lastly is Everything for You by Chloe Leese. This is already out on ebook, but it comes out on audio on the 7th. And I love this series. It's one of my favorite audiobook series. I think the audiobooks for these are so well narrated, which is amazing since this is an indie pubbed, self-pubbed series. Chloe Leese definitely made the audiobooks a priority and they're really well narrated. And this is a teammate romance. They're both soccer players and it's an romance between the two of them. I think it's Grumpy Sunshine. I think it's enemies to lovers, opposites attract. This series is amazing, so I highly recommend reading this. These all can be read as standalones, but like the family dynamic is so good, so I definitely recommend starting at the beginning and working your way through because the Bergmans are everything. That is it for the 7th. I have nothing that I'm interested in on releasing June 14th, so right to June 21st, I have the 3 books. The first is 1,000 Miles by Bridget Morrissey, and this is a road trip romance. I haven't read the synopsis for this book since I requested an arc of it. I believe it's a second chance romance, but I'm just going to quickly read through, and this synopsis is huge. I'm going to try to condense this down. Dee is the co-host of the Smash It podcast, where she interviews family, friends, and past lovers. Nothing is off the limits except for the one man, known only as Name Redacted, who happens to be her high school best friend, Ben. During their senior year spring break, Dee and Ben took a road trip to visit Ben's grandma. They buried a time capsule in her backyard, pledging to return in 10 years. Then their friendship fell apart in spectacular fashion. Ben's life since that moment has been unexciting but comfortable, until his grandma reveals a family secret that flips his entire world upside down. He starts by showing up on Dee's doorstep with every intention of filling their long-ago promise. Despite her reservations, she can't say no. This road trip could be her chance to give her listeners the name-redacted interview they've been begging for, and finally put her unresolved feelings to rest. So, road trip, second chance, romance, friends to lovers. I am usually not a big like road trip fan, but I love a second chance, friends to lovers romance. So I'm excited to give this one a try. After that is The Missed Connection by Denise Williams. This is the second book in the Airport novellas, and this one is already out on audio, but it comes out on ebook on this day, and this is the best friend of the hero in the first book. And I believe it's a one-night stand turned romance. It says 2 strangers share a romantic night together only to discover months later that they're professional rivals in a Grumpy Sunshine romance novella. Wow, my words are not coming today. So Grumpy Sunshine, I really liked this heroine in the first book. I am interested in picking this one out. And then after that is the next Riley Sager book, and that is The House Across the Lake. I have read almost every single Riley Sager except for this one that everyone hated. So I'm tentatively but nervously excited about this one. It says, Casey, a recently widowed actress trying to escape a streak of bad press, has returned to the peace and quiet of her family's lake house in Vermont. Armed with a pair of binoculars and several bottles of liquor, she passes the time watching Tom and Catherine, the glamorous couple who live in the house across the lake. One day on the lake, Casey saves Catherine from drowning, and the two strike up a budding friendship. But the more they get to know each other and the longer Casey watches, it becomes clear that Catherine and Tom's marriage is not as perfect and placid as it seems. When Catherine suddenly vanishes, Casey becomes consumed with finding out what happened to her. In the process, she uncovers eerie and dark truths that turn a tale of voyeurisms and suspicion into a story of guilt, obsession, and how looks can be deceiving. This has a very, classic thriller plot, but I am excited to see what Riley Sager does with this. And then onto the last release date of the month, we have on June 28th, 3 more books that I'm excited about. First up, we have American Royalty by Tracy Livesay. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this author's last name correctly. I really need to listen to the audiobook for this one. The little blurb up at the top says, in this dangerously sexy rom-com that evokes the real-life romance between Prince Harry and Duchess Meghan Markle, a prince who wants to live a life out of the spotlight falls for a daring American rapper who turns his life and the palace upside down. That was all I read when I requested the e-arc of this, but when I saw that it was like a Prince Harry and Meghan Markle inspired romance, I had to have it. Then we have This Vicious Grace by Emily Thede. And this is another one that I'm like tentatively interested in. It was a book that I was really excited for, and then I ended up taking it off my TBR, and then I ended up getting sent an arc of it, and now I'm interested, but tentatively interested. It's a fantasy, like mystery debut. This cover is really pretty and I like it a lot. This isn't the type of thing that I normally pick up. Then the last book that I have is one that I am insanely excited for. This made my most anticipated of the year, and that is The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. I'm pretty sure that our heroine is a ghostwriter and she has to return to her small town home after her father passes away. Her family owns a funeral parlor, I believe, and as she's in that funeral parlor, she sees a ghost, and it's a romance between her and the ghost. I'm so excited for this. I have no idea how this is going to go, but I have heard really good things about this author, and when I saw that she was writing an adult contemporary romance about a ghost, very, very interested in this one. So that is it for all of the June releases that I'm excited about. Let me know if there are any that I missed. Like I said, I'm terrible about keeping up with indie and self-pubbed releases. So let me know if there's any releases that you're very excited about that you think I might be excited about. Let me know if any of these are on your anticipated lists, and I will catch y'all in my next video. Bye!